You've seen them, you just didn't know that's what they were called. As if the Gen X people don't know the names Rankin and Bass, a little part of my soul just died.
Original geek, that's who I am. Rolling 20s with my squad, we got a plan. Marvel heroes on the wall, D&D dice in hand. Original geek, across the land. Level up, never gonna give it up.
Okay. Hey, welcome back to Original Geek. It's the all fandom podcast where we dig into sci-fi, fantasy, comics, and every pop culture obsession that built the multiverse we live in today. So whether you're Gen X, millennial, or just geek curious, grab your dice, grab your snacks. Welcome to the basement. I'm Steve Scarfo.
And I'm Jeff Shaw, and we'll be your glowing nose, lighting your way for today's foggy flight. What is our
Nice.
topic today, Steve?
Today, well, Jeff, it's December. We're in the holiday season. So, our OG listeners out there, what we felt was only the right thing to do was to talk to you guys about some Christmas specials. But because we're OGs, we're going all the way back to the 60s, and we're going Rankin and Bass.
The
And if you don't know who we're
originals.
talking about, buckle up. You've seen them. You just didn't know that's what they were called.
That's
These
true.
are-
You might not know the name Rankin and Bass, but you should, Gen X and beyond. All
Oh,
of you.
goodness. If the Gen X people don't know the names Rankin and Bass, a little part of my soul just died. That's all I'm saying. It's not the best. These are the movies you guys know. They are, well, let's give you the whole list. Let's give you
Wow.
the whole list. I have a
Complete?
list here. Starting with, and this is one you guys should all know because they play it every year, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, 1964. Santa Claus Is Comin to Town in 1970. The Year Without a Santa Claus in 1974. Rudolph's Shiny New Year, still the weirdest one to me, in 1976. And then maybe these go a little bit more weird. Nestor, the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey in 77. Jack Frost in 79. And Life and Adventures of Santa Claus in 1985. And I have to admit, I didn't know that one existed.
Did I hear Frosty in there? I don't think
Frosty
I
the
did.
Snowman was animated, not Rankin Bass
It
stop
still
motion.
counts.
Well, we're talking,
still-
but it's not
they
a
made
Rankin. They made Rankin and Bass made Frosty.
Yeah, they made Frosty the Snowman. It was hand drawn with the same vibe and the same concept. So like the template they created with Rudolph, which worked so well, but they weren't necessarily thinking that this would be the legendary thing it has become, and that it would be the longest running annual special ever. But what happened is, I'm going to say this like we knew. I didn't know this, so we did some research for this episode, that they the Animagic, which was the name of their stop motion animation, was done in Japan.
Not Claymation.
Not Claymation, we have discovered. Different, and Steve, you can talk more about what exactly makes it not Claymation. But the point I was trying to make is, what I read is that they did have that Animagic done in Japan, and also Frosty was done in Japan, but the studio that was doing the Animagic was too busy, but they still wanted to have a new Christmas special out like every year in the 60s. And they had this idea for Frosty. They got Jimmy Durante because that was part of their concept, is you got a celebrity narrator, and that was part of the pitch and the draw. Oh, Jimmy Durante. So I'm going to hear that. And then you take a song that everyone knows, like Frosty or Rudolph, and you turn it into a 30-minute or longer special. And what they were really, really good at, I thought, was taking the elements of that song and peppering it throughout the episode until at the very end, you've hit the last kind of plot that happens in these 3-minute Christmas songs. So I thought they do an amazing job. And so I do consider this part of that milieu of Rankin and Bass Christmas specials, even though it looks different because it's 2D and Animagic.
Yeah, so I was focusing on the stop motion movies. And so while you were talking, I did some live Googling. And apparently I missed a couple. There's a couple of Frosties, Frosty the Snowman, then Frosty's Winter Wonderland. And then apparently the Little Drummer Boy, also a Rankin and Bass.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't on my original list, which is stop motion. So I'm a little bummed by my first search. So incomplete Googling earlier in the day. So um,
Well, in Little Drummer Boy, I did like it. And of course, like when we were kids, wanted to see that too. But it wasn't as much fun as the
it
other
was
ones.
it was
A little darker.
it was certainly not a retelling of the Bible story, right? But it is more serious in nature. The Little Drummer Boy is like a hey, we're going to teach you a Bible story um in the same way that we've been showing you regular, you know, pop culture type Christmas stories, right? So um I didn't even put it in my brain as a Christmas special, even though it really is. The Little Drummer
Course.
Boy, the Three Kings, like it's all part of the story. It depends on which lens you're looking through, pop Santa culture kind of stuff or more traditional religious side.
Steve's showing his seriously lapped Catholic. He's
Ooh, I'm so
lapsed.
I might be
Like
the
the story of Christ, is
baptized
that
again.
like a Christmas thing?
I'm-
I don't know.
Was Mary somebody important? Someone's gonna clip just that, and I'm gonna burn in hell for that. But yeah,
All
so
right, well-
these are the movies we
Well,
want
what
to
is
talk about.
what is Animagic? Because I know you looked it up.
Animagic is it's pretty simple. It's very straightforward. It is their stop motion process, right? So it's what we call stop motion animation today. We've seen it in lots of popular, more recent movies. We'll talk about some of those. But like the Tim Burton, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, these movies, they use physical, real models and they literally move them frame by frame. If you've never looked up stop motion, check it out. It is a very cool process. The Box Trolls, I think, was another one more recently. But when you take a model that's articulates at every joint and you can literally move it frame by frame. So, I mean, literally, if it's walking, you go click, click, click. Each one of those is a separate frame of someone walking. And that's how they put these movies together. So I believe the mouths, that's why the mouths look weird. They were just flat pieces on the faces. So they would have all these dozens of little mouthpieces they would have to so if someone was speaking, each little articulation was another fabric piece they had to take off and put on.
That's funny because so one of the things I saw in the research was that one of the criticisms, and I think it makes a little bit more sense that they're Japanese, but maybe it's just because of the limitations of what they could make the mouth do and the frames that they had and the budget that they had, was that it didn't quite match up all the time, but it's like, I don't know, maybe the animators, they didn't quite like, they're going with the story, but I don't know if I don't know, that's
Yeah, I know
I'll
what
take
you're
it
saying.
back.
Okay, I didn't know where. So yeah, they
like
have this.
I almost was I stupidly was
almost-
thinking about the dubbing.
Yes,
like
it
like the
it
mouth
is very
doesn't quite-
funny if you think about it, because you could redub most of those cartoons, and the mouth movements would probably fit because they're
not
not
exact.
truly lip sync accurate. It's most of them are like open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. Very few have any articulation in between.
And so is
but-
claymation supposed to be literally clay figurines instead of puppets? Is that
There
the
were
difference?
actual clay figures that they used, and that's the true claymation. Because again, Jeff said it earlier, I didn't know this either. Like, I always called them claymation, but they're not. But I kind of knew they weren't truly clay, but I guess I didn't realize that there really were some clay. There was a guy named Will Vinton. He did shorts in the 70s and 80s. Now, again, this is the same research that left out Frosty, so I might be missing a few here. But then everything I see is from like 1985, The Adventures of Mark Twain, which apparently Satan shows up in. I don't understand that at all, but maybe Clay drove them to a little crazy. But there were some that were truly Clay, and apparently in '87 there was a Claymation Christmas celebration, which I
Good.
don't remember. Although I was graduating high school in '87, so I wasn't necessarily watching animated, stuff that I had never seen before. I always still watch Rudolph. But this is what we want to talk to you about. These are the movies that we grew up. I still quote them. I still sing some of the songs. We did a festival of trees, and there was a heat miser, cold miser tree. So these are characters that are still kicking and strong today.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you go into Lowe's and all, and you see the inflatables, and often it is a Rankin Bass inflatable. That's one of the options, at least, that you can get. These characters did survive decades.
Yeah. At the gymnastics at Brentwood Common, where Gianna does her gymnastics, every winter on their way into their parking lot, they have these huge wood cutouts. They're like almost life-size style, and it's all the characters from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So there's Yukon Cornelius, there's Rudolph, there's the Bumble, like all of these characters are in the driveway. And it's, they just put it up a couple weeks ago. This is almost 50 years old now? 66? No, 60, right? Am I doing that math right?
Yeah, so 64.
66,
so
right?
yeah,
64.
so 60.
No, 61
years
years. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's fantastic.
Let's take a trip through time. It's a Geek flashback.
And I know we've said it before with all these shows that we watched as kids, we didn't know we were watching a repeat. I mean, obviously, eventually I knew I was watching, but the first time I saw Rudolph, as far as I knew, that was the first time Rudolph was ever shown. But one thing about these movies, these shows, these specials, is, and I know as a kid, and I think I explained it in one of our horror, like I was easily scared. So like there were scary parts, like the Bumble I thought was scary. The Heat Miser and the Miser brothers like fighting. I was worried about our heroes traveling through when the fireballs and the ice balls were going off at them, and then in Santa Claus Is Coming to Town, the Winter Warlock I thought was a bit scary. I wasn't scared in Frosty. I didn't think Professor Hinkle was very scared.
No.
Messy, messy, messy.
No, but to your point about the carryover from like Frosty to the stop motion, that character reminds me of one of the captain from the Burgermeister Meisterburgers. He was like like the facial features, it like looked like they drew the guy for the guy who's what was the magician's name?
And it probably was. So because I know even though it was animated in Japan, the drawings that we see in Frosty, those were done by someone on Rankin Bass's team, and so those were still like you could imagine sending if they could have done it stop the Animagic way, they would have sent that over, and it probably would have looked very similar.
It might have even been like, hey, we want you to make the stop motion. Here's the concept image. And then they said, nah, just animate it. And it was the guy. I looked forward to those. And I agree. I was the same way. I always thought, hey, these are new. Like this, let's see. Rudolph came out in '64, 5 years before I was born. So by the time I saw it and remembered it, I was maybe 5 or 6, if I'm lucky that my memory goes back that far. So these were 10, 12 years old by the time I remember seeing them. And because there was no, a TV guide, was the only way you would know, or people who were, I don't think my parents ever talked to me about, oh yeah, that's the classic Christmas. It was just, oh, we're going to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because it's on, Friday night at 8 because it was primetime viewing.
Well, and that's that's the thing, and it's something I'll mention a version of in the our message to the new generation is, or rant is that's it, like Friday at 8, and if you don't see it, you don't see Rudolph this year. Like, it showed once, and it was Friday at 8, and that's it. There was no VCR. You didn't record it. That wasn't an option. No TiVo. This was it. What, you had your shot, or you're gonna miss it.
You realize that for most people who are maybe not quite our target, but even TiVo is old.
Yeah.
You're talking about like TiVo's cutting edge. It's old now too. Do you know what movie it just popped into my head while we were talking about it? It's not a Christmas movie, and it's not even animated at all. But it used to come on at Christmas every year, and I loved it. Was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I just saw Dick Van Dyke just turned 100 years old, so that's in my brain too. So I don't want to dig too far because it's off topic, but that was another movie that we saw. But again, it was every year at Christmas. If you didn't see it when it was on, maybe it was, I want to say it was like Christmas Eve. It was like always on the same night every year for like, I remember 5 or 6 years. It was, if you missed it that night, then you didn't get to see it because it wasn't on again until next year.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was true for like all of these specials, where it was like the family would plan on staying in, and this way we're all going to watch. And there are only 3 stations, right? ABC, NBC, CBS. So, there's that. But you probably like you didn't go to the movies that night. You didn't do something else. You planned and sat in and or didn't play a game. You watched the Rudolph special or Frosty or whatever. Yeah.
And they often would do like a whole night. It would be like from 8 to 10. They'd do 4 of them back to back.
So for you might actually have watched the premiere of The Year Without a Santa Claus, 1974.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
5.
I would have been 6. No, 5. I would have been 5. So I could have. I'm going to say I did. I don't know. That could be a lie for everyone listening. I don't know. But Year Without a Santa Claus, still one of my favorites of all times. I love the Miser Brothers. Their songs are my favorite. I will say the dances in those movies where they're singing the "I'm Mr. Heat My," their part is fun. The main, but it's the creepy little minions that they have that kind of look like them, but they're smaller. Those always sort of creeped me out as a kid, but I loved them anyway. But my favorite, and I'll wait for critical hits. I got one for you.
Okay.
It's gonna be my critical hit. So if you're not,
but
just listen and keep listening.
But it's good to point this out because most of these movies were based, or specials were based on a famous song. But what was great about these is that the original songs that they created for them, in every one of these, they're bangers. They're awesome.
They're
Silver
Christmas
and
classic.
Gold and Rudolph is a great song. And I know we're talking about some of them in our critical hits, but like, oh man, I don't want to use the one from the critical hit, but yeah. All right, we'll have to save it for our critical hits because I agree. Like the soundtracks, the original songs that they added to these are part of the critical hit and part of their success. That they had great songwriting, and they actually approached it very much like a Broadway show. So at this top, and when you see a Broadway musical, it starts with a suite, which plays all of the songs that you're going to hear in the musical. And they do the same thing in these Christmas specials. They approached it with that kind of same level of artistry, where they, when you watch it next time, this season, pay attention to that. They're actually at the beginning. They're playing a version of all of the songs that are in the special.
When they're doing the opening credits.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's so
it's like
cool.
switching between like it's
Different
little
stuff.
clips of all the different songs.
So that's very cool. I did not know that. I did just look something up because I sort of made the same assumption. I was like, let me make sure that the songs were there before the shows. But some of these songs go way before the show. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, for instance, a character was in 1939. Gene Autry sang the song in 1949. So it was still 15 years later before they made the animated or the Animagic version of Rudolph that we all know and love today. But I agree. They took these songs that were popular and, still get airplay today every year. And they fit a story that lasted a half an hour. And, it's a TV half hour, so 22 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing with The Grinch. Again, not a Rankin Bass, but an animated. But, The Grinch is a book. It's a Dr. Seuss book. What are those, like 15 pages, 20 pages long? And they made this whole story behind who he is and all that stuff. And of course,
Right.
now The Grinch has had like 5 iterations, but
Yes. But that's that same concept that they did in Rudolph, which is you take this really short 3-minute plot and then you expand it, and that it worked really well. Yeah. So The Year Without a Santa Claus, I just did a quick search because I was pretty sure that was the only one that the song was not they weren't basing that one on a song. They were just trying to come up with an original concept. And it has some great songs in it, but it doesn't have that's not that they created all the songs in that one are original. So.
yeah, but that one, yeah, and that makes sense. I guess I would assumed it was in there. It would have been before, but it makes sense because there's no one theme. Frosty the Snowman is the song Frosty the Snowman, right?
Yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is Rudolph. There's no Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah.
So the main song though, you better watch out, you better not cry. They made that for the movie or for the show. It's not a movie.
Oh, no, that was that's in Santa Claus Is Coming to Town, and that.
Well, that's right. That's not Year Without a Santa Claus.
That was before that. But I think The Year Without a Santa Claus just has all original music.
I think Year Without a Santa Claus too. They do a version of Blue Christmas, which was a.
Oh, you're right.
Blue Christmas, but that
You're
wasn't the theme
right.
though. Blue Christmas was an Elvis hit, but now I don't know
You're
if Elvis did it
absolutely right.
before or
Yep.
after. Did Elvis record it
Okay.
after it became popular with Year Without a Santa Claus?
Point. Blue Christmas. All
But
right.
again, it's not like Rudolph. It's not like Blue Christmas wasn't the name of the show.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you're looking it up right now, but you guys stand by while we Google.
What, when Blue Christmas came out?
Yeah. Was Blue Christmas before the Year Without a Santa Claus?
I'm sure, because it was Elvis, that kind of old sound that he had, not his 1974 sound. It's
Oh yeah, Elvis did it in 57.
Yeah.
This is why I don't know. See? So maybe it does play a key role in the movie, but it's
Yeah.
not the movie.
Yeah.
So,
But I like that we don't have to do a canon correction. You corrected me right away. I appreciate that.
it wasn't intentional. It was like, wait, I didn't catch that. So,
But as much as I appreciate you helping me, I think it's time
Hold
to
on,
take you to
before
court.
you go. Before you
Oh.
go,
Okay.
I want to set the table.
Ooh.
I
Okay.
want to dish it out. I want to draw people in.
Okay. All right.
I want you guys to know that of all these movies, because there's a lot of things that we could do, we have picked one and one topic within the one movie because it's a little controversial. It's gonna get some people annoyed, I think, but I think we're gonna have to talk a little bit about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and how Santa was kind of a jerk.
The fandom is divided. It's time for Geek Court.
Yeah. So, the core argument Santa is a selfish, prejudiced, utilitarian leader who only accepts Rudolph's differences when it benefits him. And I am making the case that he is indeed a bit of a jerk in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So,
Are you telling me you're calling Santa a jerk?
I am. Now, he is hypercritical of Donner for hiding Rudolph's nose, but then equally critical of Rudolph's nose. He's disdainful and critical of Hermie the Elf's ambition to be a dentist, and reinforces his kind of judgmental culture, elf culture. He displays a shocking lack of care for the island of misfit toys. He just doesn't give about them. And
I don't know if you want to say that about Santa. Santa don't GAF.
he does not care. However, as soon as Rudolph's nose can come in handy, oh yeah, we can go there. Oh, he's also like the elf singing the choir. Needs work. Yes. Okay. Better luck next time. And like the cooking, his wife's cooking. He's just critical there. He's just not a likable Santa in this version.
See, I see it a little differently, because all of those things were there, but you're forgetting about the stress and the pressure of being Santa right before Christmas Eve, right? He's just stressed out, man. He's a guy who's like, I got a lot of stuff to do. I got new reindeer to train. One of them has this weird glowing nose thing going on. I don't understand what it is. Santa maybe was a little short with his responses because he just was too stressed out. You know, he doesn't stay that way. He evolves, which is one of my favorite things, character arcs. At the end, he comes back and he goes, I realize I was wrong. And he welcomes Rudolph in, you know. So you look at it like, you go, no, he's only doing it because he needs him. And I'm like, no, he learned. His heart grew. He's like the Grinch. His heart grew. And he's like, no, I get it now. I'm sorry. I was being a jerk. I don't think he says he was a jerk, but he pretty much says that. And he says, all right, now, I think, you know, he finally brings everybody together and says, it's okay. It's okay. I don't know what you guys think. So
I'm I know I usually win these, but I really appreciated the Grinch reference and the growth, the character growth. So it does add a dynamic to this special that wouldn't have existed if he was just a nice guy. You're right. That wouldn't work. Plus, one thing I discovered that kind of goes to your point is the fans, apparently the first year it came out, were like, what happened to the misfit toys? They're like, when you get back, tell Santa. And the ending is them flying off successfully to deliver the toys. And then it was the version we see now has him going to the island, picking them up, and then dropping them the toys off. So apparently, had they not changed that ending and had it gone to the land of the misfit toys and picked them up, I could say that I'd still win this argument, because but he wasn't self-centered in the end. He did listen not only to Rudolph, but also to the plight of those misfit toys.
all right, I get to win one.
So I will concede.
I will say, I did not know that they changed the ending. That's pretty funny that they just forgot about, you know, and I'm sure in the animation journey, they were just like, all right, well, that part of the story's over. Let's just show the happy ending.
Yeah.
And then everyone else went, hey, what's up, dude? You left them all behind.
I know that's the, have you heard of the term a MacGuffin?
Yes.
I didn't know what it was, but, at AMC theaters, the bar inside it is called MacGuffins. And I'm like, why is that? So my wife, Kristen, looked it up when we went to see a movie there. And it's this plot device that's meaningless. So it just provides some drive for the character, but ultimately it doesn't matter. And I think initially the Island of Misfit Toys must have been a MacGuffin. Like, oh yeah, we need this because they're misfits. But then who cares about them? No one cares. Oh no, the fans spoke. They cared. They wanted those toys taken care of.
So it's funny. I had heard that the only slight difference in the definition of the idea of what a MacGuffin is the MacGuffin is any plot device that moves the plot forward, and it's always some sort of a thing. Like it's a thing you got to go do. It could be a tangible thing, like you're in a action adventure movie and you got to go here and get the file. That file is a MacGuffin. It could be whatever, but it does drive that plot forward.
It's that ultimately that thing doesn't matter.
Yeah, ultimately it's just anything. A piece of the puzzle. It's not the thing. Yeah.
So yeah, nice.
Well, but that's all right. I think we have to give Santa a break.
Yeah,
I am glad that they changed the ending because it would have made my argument crap. But yeah,
and I think this is a perfect transition to what our basement treasures are.
Dust it off and geek it out, because it's a basement treasure.
They're digging in the wrong place.
So before you start, I do think it's funny. You guys will see in a minute. And if you're not watching, catch us on YouTube, Original Geek Podcast, YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, do all this stuff. We need you guys. We talked a little bit. We always do like a pre-show. And so we talk about what we're doing. And it's kind of funny because we both pick kind of the same stuff. So go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So Hallmark, it's got to be at least a decade ago, had these Rudolph ornaments. And what I love is how complete it was. Like it has all the misfit toys. I don't have them all to display. This is a podcast, which isn't the best medium for that.
No, for those of you just listening, tell them which one it is.
We also have YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to get all this. But I didn't want to take them all off my tree. So I was being lazy.
No. But for the people who don't see it, tell them which one you're holding.
I know. All right. So I'm holding the elephant, the polka dotted elephant from the Island of Misfit Toys. I also have the Charlie in a box. And it also comes with the train with the square wheels and the doll Sally, who isn't a misfit. Like there's nothing wrong with this doll, but there she is. So, and
it was,
but also it has the main characters. Got Yukon Cornelius. I've got Clarice and Rudolph and Santa and Sam the Snowman. It's awesome. They're awesome. And they have that very, what I like about is how true they are. Those of you who are watching this, they're like they have that same kind of tactile feel and look of those Animagic characters. So
yeah, that was a Yukon Cornelius that Jeff was just holding up.
Yeah, so
and
big.
I like that one a lot.
Big fan of those Rudolph figurines. At least a decade old. I think it's kind of brushing it off.
So this is not a decade old, but from the same movie. Because Bumbles bounce. I got a Bumble, but this is one we just got not that long ago, and it's actually the Bumble with a Santa hat on, kind of a red and white striped Santa hat and red suspender pants. He's doing a reverse Donald Duck. He has just pants, no shirt. I don't know why the pants. Maybe to make him look more like Santa, but it's the Bumble, and as terrifying as he is at the beginning of that movie or show, by the end, he's just like an adorable teddy bear. And in this, my daughter was quick to point out, because he's like, what is the Bumble? I'm like, he's the big terrifying guy with all the teeth. And I showed her, and she goes, wait, where's the teeth? So if you're watching, this is the toothless version after Hermie gets his hands on him.
Yeah, he just had some bad teeth, put him in a bad mood. So, yeah, I think... But that's funny because that is one of the few characters that was not part of this collection that I got there. I don't have a Bumble. So.
You don't have a Bumble?
No, I don't think so. I'll double check, but I don't think it came with the collection.
Oh, that's too bad. He's one of my favorites.
I think because they're trying to do it to scale. And I mean, that bumble would be too big.
The Bumble would have been huge. But yeah, it's just, I think it's funny that we both chose characters that we happen to still have. And again, we talked about it before. This is what makes these movies and shows so cool to me. I think to you too, is that they're still so relevant, right? This is
Mhm.
not a story that got so old. Maybe Santa being a little too hard on people at the beginning is tougher for, he's no Tim Allen doing a movie here, but it's a story of a journey that all of these people, all these characters go on some journey and end up together at Christmas. And it's a story that people still watch. And it's cool that we both chose ones from the same movie. Of all the stuff we've talked about we like, it happened to be both from Rudolph.
That's awesome. Well, and what I like about what you said, and also your point that you made in the Geek Court, is that it's a redemption. Like all of these are redemption stories. So that, like a lot of these, our protagonists are like kind of outcasts or misfits, or they just don't fit in, or they're trying to make their way and figure things out, and they do eventually. But then all of the bad guys get their redemptions too, generally, except for the Burgermeister. But nothing
but he
bad
gets his
happens to them.
comeuppance.
They just kind of fall out of favor. They're like, these guys are dumb. But the Winter Warlock and the Miser Brothers and
Even the
the
Bumble.
Bumble, like they all get their redemption. So yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I could talk forever. But it's time to talk about how things have changed a little bit, and how our Christmas movies have come through.
From floppy disks to streaming clicks, it's Geek Evolution.
All right.
So
And
you started with it earlier
yeah,
that these
I
were
did.
made in Japan, because it was cheaper, right? That these started with like, we know what we want to do, but it's too expensive to do here. So they sent the idea to Japan where they would do it cheaper. Took forever.
Well, and I think about those Godzilla, when we talked about Godzilla and like the attention to detail. Like, and I know we talked about, it's kind of cheesy, but when you think about it, like the attention to detail they did with their buildings and they did the best they could with the tools that they had. And I think that artistry must have somewhat influenced the Animagic. And I know that one aspect of this Animagic that makes it look rough is so charming. Like there's a slight stilt between the movements, right? It's not smooth. Like it's the amount of frames per movement. And for economy's sake, they had less, frames per movement or more. I don't know what would make it
like when
smoother.
they're jumping, it's like like they do one kick, but they travel.
Yeah. And as we look, because part of our evolution is we talk about impact. And one movie that was impacted by this was Elf with Will Ferrell, directed by John and created by Jon Favreau. And he told his animators, and they were not happy. They needed, and he can explain the actual like number. No, it has to be this many frames. So, like it's not gonna. That's not smooth. It's like exactly. It needs to look like Rankin Bass. I want this environment not to look like a real North Pole. It needs to look like Rankin Bass North Pole. This needs to look like that. That's what I was influenced by. That's what this needs to be.
Even down to the costumes that the live action actors were wearing was
Yeah,
very
that's
reminiscent of the elves in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, that's so true.
And then, we talked about it a little bit too. because it wasn't just a stop motion. Those are the favorites. Those are the primaries we're talking about. But then there were like The Grinch, which came out 2 years after the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But that was traditional animation. And, I'm sure they were trying to push it out faster because I don't know what the timelines truly were on some of these, but months to create traditional animation.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I know another it's not Animagic because it was much smoother. Nightmare Before Christmas. I know it's often credited Tim Burton, but he produced it but he didn't write it.
He didn't actually do the.
Yeah, he wasn't the creator. He was a supporter of it. And now I'll look it up who it is in a moment. But they clearly were also, and, also influenced by that Rankin and Bass, not to, because of the recognizing the texture of it is, because it looked 3D, right? I mean, I guess it was, right? It was filmed in, 3 dimensions, not in the 2 dimensions of a traditional animated piece. And so it's very influential with that. I'll look it up. So
Yeah. 18 months to produce Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
really,
18 months to do the stop motion. So just to give you an idea, especially in this age of AI where you can tell it to make a picture of a Rudolph and then animate it in 30 seconds, you can get an 8 to 10 second clip. That'll look pretty decent. I haven't played with any of them that actually and done a Rankin Bass mimic, but I'm sure you could even make it look like that. It took them 18 months because they were physically doing it. And I agree, the stuff with the Nightmare Before Christmas and even like the box trolls. There was another one about a monster house, I think it was called, stop motion. Obviously standing on the backs of giants, these guys who took the initial leap into this stuff, but they had models and literal models of these creatures that they could, instead of having one with a felt mouth that they had to play with, they literally had like 10 or 12 different heads that they could take off and put on. It's like anything else. They started with one type of one way of doing it. And then they evolved, quite literally, they evolved and they iterated into what they can do today. The kind of work, I couldn't do it. When I was a kid, one point I was like, oh, it'd be cool. I don't know if you ever did this. I used to do the flip book art where you would draw a little stick figure on a page and every page. And at the end you would flip it and he would run across the page, right?
yes.
I used to love the 3-second clip, but I could never do anything longer. Like, I guess that was pre-animation too. That was sort of an animation trick. That's how each cell was built for old school traditional animation.
Yeah.
So I give these guys such respect for, in the 60s when technology was not techno, if you want to put it that way, that they were able to pull off, to your point, like not realistic, but believable environments. So not just Rudolph, they had to put him in a field of snow. They had to put the Bumble in a cave. Like, it was fantastic.
Well, and the staying power of these specials. I mean, Rudolph, and I'm not trying to say that so Rudolph was the first, so therefore it's the longest running annual special. But I think of some good, like I've seen other good Christmas specials that don't have the same power. And even if it's got a big name, and maybe someone will disagree, but like I've enjoyed the Toy Story Christmas special, but I don't feel like I need to see it every year.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyed there was one with like oh man, it was like Ronnie the reindeer or something like that. Do you remember this?
I don't.
It had some famous voice actors in it too, and I can look it up, but like it was like more like, okay, that was a fun thing to watch. It was original and fun, and like you don't even know what I'm talking about.
No.
That's what I mean. Is it that like no one has successfully made things with that much lasting impact. Now we've had movies, Christmas movies that do. We just listed some of them: Elf, Nightmare Before Christmas,
Home Alone.
like where I love Polar Express. I know some people are critical of some of the human animation in that,
Yeah, the
but I
CGI in that
love that movie and want to watch that one every year. So there are movies that I still want to watch, but there's not that many just animated specials like that.
No, I feel like, especially like with the Toy Story ones and ones that are derived from other properties, other movies, it feels obligatory. Like, oh, yeah, so all right, they had a great movie, so they're going to make a Christmas special because they felt like they had to have a Christmas property. You know what I mean? Toy Story didn't want to be left out, but the charm of Toy Story wasn't about Christmas. You know, I think the thing about these movies, to me anyway, that really resonates is these are Christmas stories. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer didn't live in Chicago for the first 12 years of his life and end up at the North Pole because of some wish he made. Like, he's Santa's reindeer. You know what I mean? Frosty is a snowman who could only live in the winter. You know, maybe not quite as much as the Christmas theme, but when Toy Story makes a Christmas special, it's not really about Christmas. It's about Toy Story in Christmas. Do you know what I mean? It's not Christmas with toys, which was the Island of Misfit Toys, which is funny. My kids watch this movie a million times. It's called Ugly Dolls, and it reminds me a lot now that we're talking about it. It's very much a parallel to the Island of Misfit Toys. They have a whole place they call Uglyville where all the ugly dolls go. It's their Island of Misfit Toys. I don't know how they didn't make a reference in there, but they didn't. And then we have the Charlie Brown Christmas, same kind of thing. I think that's one. But like, to your point, these are all Charlie Brown Christmas, I think, is maybe one, maybe because it came out so long ago. It was 65, so it was right there. Maybe because that one was around the same time, because that's another one that it was the Peanuts had a Christmas special. But to me, it's just was always in that list of, hey, it's Friday night on December 18th, we're going to watch these 5 Christmas specials. So it was always there.
Yeah, the Peanuts, I think, absolutely. All of their holiday specials are just as enduring. They just happen to make their first one with the Christmas special a year after Rudolph, so it doesn't get the credit. But I honestly think if that had been the first one, that would have had been the longest running. But I'm so glad we got Rudolph, because the animation, the Animagic is really, really cool. And I'm glad that we got other movies like Nightmare Before Christmas and Elf, largely because of it. So
I will say, just I know we're going to jump over to our message, but with the Peanuts, they were a property without the specials, but I think they were only ever on TV for their holiday specials. There was the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I think they had a few other, but it wasn't like it was a TV show or a movie. They were a cartoon. They were a strip, cartoon strip in the papers, and they had a few specials that were done. But that's cool. But as we are rolling through this, we still have to get to a couple different segments before we go. So, we're gonna tell you why you guys should pay attention.
Your kids don't know how good you've got it.
We both are like, okay, you go.
Okay, I'll go. So what I want to say is, even though these are enduring, impactful, we've been talking about that they're played every year. I still know some people that they haven't made it a part of their family tradition. And I think part of it is because you can watch it at any time. So even though they try to make it a big deal, hey, Rudolph's going to be on CBS or NBC this Friday, hey, watch it. That's just not the way we view things anymore. And then you're just going to watch it with a bunch of ads, and then maybe life just gets busy, and then you don't make the time. I'm encouraging people to make that time, watch these specials, make that a part of your tradition. And you'll get, I think, that the messages here are so great. To not be bullies, the redemption stories. I think these are great,
Forgiveness.
enduring stories that we should maintain and continue.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stick at the same idea for this. Don't discount them because they're old. I know a lot of younger folks will go, "Ma, that's so old." You know what I mean? My kids make fun of me all the time. I'm in my 50s, but to them, I might as well be 1,000, right? So I know we got millennials and zennials out there who are in their 20s and 30s who are like, "Oh, that's just old crap. I'd rather just watch whatever." If you go on Netflix or whatever streaming system, and what you have is the beauty we didn't have, which is we had to wait till December 18th, Friday at 8 p.m. on CBS, or we didn't see it. You can watch it 19 times in a season if you really wanted to. And by God, they're probably 22 to 30, maybe I think they were all half-hour specials. So they're like 22 minutes to watch, right? You could watch one on a lunch break. But get your kids together. It's almost like reading your kids 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. These are things, to Jeff's point, they have a great story, they have great characters, and they have good moral outcomes. Everybody is a better character by the end of these things, in almost every case. Even the Burgermeister, they just sort of let him go off.
So actually, Rudolph is 55 minutes. A couple of them were on the longer side, but yeah, they're more like Frosty's like 22, and then you have the ads to make it 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some of them were an hour and some of them were a half. I couldn't remember which ones were which.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at best, you're killing 55 minutes. Most of you watch Stranger Things twice already. You can watch freaking Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
It's critical hits and epic fails.
All right. We got to talk about my favorite thing. All right. As I knew we would, because this is such a fun topic, we're running a little long in the tooth. So I'm going to just give you my critical hit right off the top. My favorite part of all of these Rankin Bass, specifically the Rankin Bass, the stop motion Animagic, not claymation shows, is the Winter Warlock. He was this big scary guy, but he was stuck in an iceberg, and because he was so mean and cruel, he was like, he couldn't even move. And then Santa, Kris Kringle, gives him a toy, his first present ever, and his heart melts, and he becomes this old sort of normal looking wizard dude who's got a regular body. And from that point forward, everybody calls him the Warlock or Mr. Warlock, and he'll go, "Winter, please." Like he's saying, just use my first name, and my first name is Winter, which I always get it just tickles me. But I love the song, Put One Foot in Front of the Other.
Yeah.
I think it's the best song. I don't know what it is. If you've followed me at all or know me, I had an accident a few years ago where both my legs were in braces for like 2 months. I had a lot of rehab to do, and I actually made a video using that song as one of my goofy rehab videos, that you just got to put one foot in front of the other. So that's my hit. I love it.
Yeah. And what a great message, just put one foot in front of the other. Just take these little steps for the big change. That's good.
Keep moving forward.
All right. I'm going right to epic fail from the same special. The Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. So, which tells the history of Santa and some of its traditions. And so one tradition that we all know is that when you want something from Santa, you can go and sit on his lap and tell him what you want. Okay, well, that's fine. That's a fine tradition. For some reason, in this special, Santa had an extra little thing he was asking for, a kiss. So he has a song, be prepared to pay extortion. If you sit on my lap today, a kiss, a toy is the price you pay. Oh yeah, sit in my lap, give me a kiss. And
if you guys could see the faces
I'm
that Jeff
not
is
giving
making.
you anything. You gotta give me that kiss. Kiss me for that toy.
7 bad songs
So-
just popped into my head.
The Meisterburger, entirely right, for the wrong reasons, to stop this guy. Like, whoa, man. A kiss? Really? Can we
You told
just
me
get
you were
our
going to talk
toy
about
without
this,
the
and it's
kiss?
freaking cracks me up.
So,
Listen to
don't
the
be
song.
stingy is one of his lines. Come on, don't be stingy. Give me that kiss. Okay.
So listen,
That's the epic fail.
that is an epic fail, 100%. I don't know why. I never heard it that way. But
That's well, because you watch this with a certain innocence, and
yeah,
the thing is, he didn't mean it that way. So, like, I totally understand that.
yeah.
And
it doesn't hold up. That's what it is. It's
like,
2025.
even in Rudolph, like, we're reading into things. So I think he's like something like, "Someone's gonna shine up my bills to fly," or something like that. Gonna make my bills shiny, shine up them bills.
That was definitely the best.
So, like, we're adults with juvenile humor, and so we hear it differently. But I mean, even though I am hearing it differently, I still think it's a fail.
Yeah. No, I agree. You guys got to tell us if you agree, because the one foot in front of the other, awesome. Come sit on my lap, but you have to give me a kiss, suspect. But tell us your thoughts. Send us an email, originalgeekpodcast@gmail.com. Jump on any of our socials at Original Geek Podcast. We're on Buzzsprout, where we're hosted, but you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, any other places you guys get us. And of course on YouTube, if you want to get the cool visuals of Jeff and I staring at each other and being silly. Tell us what you think. Do you love the Rankin Bass? Are they creepy as hell? Was Santa being a jerk? And maybe in Year Without a Santa Claus? Not Year Without a Santa Claus. Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. Maybe he should have been put on a watch list. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
Catch a Predator Island.
Catch a Predator Island. Oh my God.
Right next to the misfit toys. Well, no, it's got to keep.
No. There's definitely a restraining order.
That's why the dolly's there. It's been traumatized by Santa.
All right.
It's the point where you point. Where did Santa touch you?
That's Dolly's whole purpose, was to be the exhibition doll. Not exhibition, you know what I mean. Example.
Sorry.
No, we just got dark in the last 5 seconds. Yeah. OriginalGeekPodcast.com. Check me out at Steve Scarvo. And yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right. Merry Christmas, OGs. Catch you next time.